Let's start with the first principle, which says the only reliable basis for sound government and just human relations is natural law. You ask almost any person today about natural law, and hardly any will know what you're talking about. We don't study it anymore today. We don't converse with it. But did you know that in the days of the founders, you couldn't hardly get through a college, Harvard, Princeton, any of those colleges that existed then, without taking courses in natural law. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because the founders said you have to have a basis of natural law to have a good government. And the person that they loved to read on this subject was Marcus Tullius Cicero. He was a Roman consul, tried to get Rome from falling from a republic to an emperorship. He lived from 106 to 34 BC. And as we said, rose to the office of Roman consul. He was murdered a year after Caesar was murdered in 43 BC. Two of his famous books are entitled The Republic and the Laws. Some of the fundamental principles that Cicero taught in trying to get the people to resist this tremendous effort that was being made by some to destroy the Republic of Rome and to turn it into an emperorship or a dictatorship. First of all, he says, if you want to conduct yourself according to the laws of nature, it will always be right. What are the laws of nature? The laws of nature and of nature's God, as John Locke said, and as Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, are the laws in which everything is made to work properly. And if you conform your conduct according to those laws, then it will work. If you don't, it won't work. What will work? Government, human relationships, everything. Cicero also said, and really recognized, that there was an intelligent design of the universe. This creator, as Cicero talked about, as Blackstone talked about, who formulated laws to make everything work properly. And these weren't just random laws. These were laws that were laid down by the Creator, which formed an intelligent design of the universe. And he called the Creator's order of things natural law. He said that these things are common sense and they're reasonable. They make sense. And people who are reasonable and who are right thinking will come to those conclusions. They're common sense. They're not extraordinary, out of the ordinary kind of things. Hence the phrase, the laws of nature and of nature's God. It's the way things are. This is Cicero. True law, real law, the way things really are, is right reason in agreement with nature. What does that mean? Right, a true law is right reason in agreement with nature. In other words, law that is really good and really is effective and really works for a happy people and for a good society will agree with each other all the time because they agree with nature. He says it is of universal application, unchanging and everlasting. Now, see if you can understand and get the meaning out of this next phrase. It summons to duty by its commands. What in the world does that mean? Natural law summons to duty by its commands. Are you hungry? Is nature telling you that you're hungry? What do you need? You need food. How are you going to get food? You work for it. You have to do something. You see where natural law summons to duty by its commands? It makes you do things you should do, really. and averts from wrongdoing by its prohibitions. Natural law will tell you there are certain things you should not do, because if you do them, you know you're going to get hurt. You shouldn't walk out into the street with cars coming both directions. You shouldn't put your hand on the hot stove. It averts from wrongdoing by its prohibitions. Do you see that? This is all natural law. It is a sin to try to alter this law, nor is it allowable to repeal any part of it, and it is impossible to abolish it entirely. Can you imagine a legislature who would pass a law saying there's no more gravity in our state? Would gravity cease to be? No. This is all natural law. It's the way things are. It doesn't matter what a legislature says, whether it tries to repeal it. He says you can. And we cannot be freed from its obligations by Senate or people. And we need not look outside ourselves for an expounder or interpreter of it. What does that mean? That means natural law is so understandable, so common sense, so reasonable, that you don't need a bank of skilled attorneys to interpret it. And there will not be different laws at Rome and at Athens, or different laws now and in the future, but one eternal and unchangeable law will be valid for all nations and all times. And there will be one master and ruler, that is God, over us all. For He is the author of this law, its promulgator and its enforcing judge. And then he says this: whoever is disobedient, in other words, who tries to go around, try to violate natural law, is fleeing from himself, his very person. He's fleeing from and denying his human nature. How do you like that? And by reason of this very fact will suffer the worst punishment. Well, powerful paragraph by Cicero. You can see why the founders loved this. First of all, he says true law is in agreement, or true law is right reason in agreement with nature. It all conforms. I want you to think of the phrase, true law or natural law is the Creator's way of organizing things to make them work properly. Whether it's scientific law, whether it's laws of human relationships. For example, if you discover scientific laws, what can you have? You can have nice television sets, computers, air conditioning, lights, transport, all these nice things, if you find out the law in nature and apply it. But Blackstone says there's another part to natural law. It's the natural law for human happiness. And he says the Creator doesn't let us fumble around and just discover those. He gives us those things right from the beginning. Have you noticed that? He says, in order to be happy, don't what? Don't kill. Don't steal something that belongs to somebody else. Don't lie. Don't covet your neighbor's property. Go out and earn your own. Don't commit adultery. See all those things right from the beginning. And the founders said all of these things are a part of natural law. It's the way things are. And if you comply with them, if you organize your government, if you organize your life, your family according to these laws, you will have happiness. If you don't, what does he say? You will suffer the worst punishment. Things won't work for you. So let me ask you a question. If you create a government, say, that does not allow people to enjoy the benefits of their own labors, in other words, nobody owns private property, what can you say from the very beginning about that government? What will happen? Right, it will fail, guaranteed. Has it always failed? Yes. See that? That's natural law. Okay? He says natural law is eternal, universal, reasonable, cannot be altered or repealed, it's comprehensible, and it's totally correct. It's truth. It's the way things are.